you have just arrived in a new city after a long journey. You are tired, your phone battery is almost dead, and all you want to do is get to your hotel. You finally get into a taxi, the driver turns around and asks, "Where to?" And suddenly you are not sure how to answer naturally.
You know the name of the hotel. You have the address on your phone, and this should be one of the easiest conversations of your trip. However, instead of speaking, you begin translating everything in your head. You wonder whether you should say, "I want to go to this hotel. Please drive me to this address," or perhaps something completely different.
Then the driver asks another question, such as, "Do you have a preferred route?" Or, "Would you like me to take the motorway?" And your stress becomes even stronger because you were only prepared to say the name of your destination.
This is exactly why simple travel situations can feel difficult. The problem is usually not that your English is too weak. The problem is that you do not yet have a few natural phrases ready to use when you need them.
In this episode, we are going to take one complete taxi journey together. We will show you what to say when you get into the taxi, how to explain where you are going, how to ask about the price and travel time, what to say if the driver takes a different route, and how to pay at the end.
We will also practice the most useful phrases with you, so by the end of this episode, you will not only understand them, you will be ready to use them during a real journey.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our English Learning Podcast. I'm Emma.
And I'm Leonardo. This is the first episode in our new series, English on the Move, where we learn the English you need while traveling, driving, and moving around in everyday life.
This series is designed for learners at the B1, B2 level who already understand quite a lot of English, but sometimes feel unsure in real conversations.
If practical English is useful for you, remember to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and follow us, because we are going to cover taxis, cars, driving lessons, public transport, airports, bicycles, and many other situations.
Today, we are beginning with a taxi journey because it is a very common situation, but it can still create stress when you do not know what the driver might ask or how to respond naturally.
We are going to keep everything practical. You will hear realistic conversations, useful vocabulary and phrases that you can adapt to your own situation.
Let's begin with the moment when you find your taxi. Leonardo, let's say I have just left the airport and I see a taxi waiting outside. What is the first thing I can say?
You can begin with a simple question such as, "Are you available?" This is clear, polite, and easy to remember.
Could I also ask, "Are you free?"
Yes, you can. In this context, "Are you free?" means, "Are you available to take a passenger?" However, "Are you available?" may feel clearer for learners because the word free can also make people think about price.
That is a good point. I would probably ask, "Hi, are you available?"
The driver might answer, "Yes, where are you going?" You can then explain your destination.
The situation is slightly different when I've already ordered a ride through an application.
In that case, you may need to confirm that you have found the correct car and driver. You could say, "Hi, are you here for Emma?" Or, "Hi, is this the taxi for the Grand Hotel?"
What might the driver ask me?
The driver may ask, "Did you book the taxi?" Or, "Are you Emma?" You can answer, "Yes, that's me." Or, "Yes, I booked a ride through the app."
Yes, that's me is a very useful expression because it sounds much more natural than simply saying, "Yes, I am Emma."
Exactly. "Yes, that's me" is a phrase you can use in many situations, not only in a taxi. You can use it when someone is looking for you at a hotel, restaurant, or airport.
Let's hear a short example.
I'll be the driver.
Hi, are you here for Emma?
Yes. Are you going to the Riverside Hotel?
Yes, that's me. I booked the ride through the app.
Great. You can put your suitcase in the boot.
Before we continue, let's explain one useful difference. In British English, the storage space at the back of a car is called the boot.
In American English, it is called the trunk. A British driver may say, "You can put your bag in the boot," while an American driver may say, "You can put your bag in the trunk."
You do not need to worry about remembering both immediately. The most important thing is to recognize them when you hear them. Now I am inside the taxi and the driver asks me, "Where to?" This question is very short. Could it sound rude to a learner?
It might sound direct, but it is completely normal in this situation. Where to is simply a shorter version of where would you like to go.
What is the most natural answer?
One of the best phrases is, could you take me to the airport, please?
I like that sentence because I can easily replace the airport with another destination.
Exactly. You can say, could you take me to the train station, please? Could you take me to the city center, please? Could you take me to this address, please? Could you take me to the Riverside Hotel, please?
Why do we use the verb take here?
We use take when someone transports or accompanies a person from the current place to another place. Some learners say, can you bring me to the airport? People will probably understand, but could you take me to the airport? Sounds more natural in this situation.
Another phrase I often hear is, I'd like to go to the airport.
That is also a very good option. I'd like to go to the airport, please. Sounds polite and natural.
Is I want to go to the airport incorrect?
It is grammatically correct, but I want and sound more direct. It is not a terrible mistake, but I'd like or could you take me usually sounds softer in a customer service situation.
So, we have two very useful choices. Could you take me to the airport, please? I'd like to go to the airport, please.
You may also hear the phrase drop me off. To drop someone off means to take that person somewhere and leave them there.
For example, could you drop me off at the main entrance?
Yes. You could also say, could you drop me off outside the station? Or, you can drop me off at the corner.
That phrase becomes especially useful when we are close to the destination and want to tell the driver exactly where to stop.
Let's practice the most important sentence. Say it aloud with us. Could you take me to this address, please?
Once more, could you take me to this address, please?
This sentence is useful even when you cannot pronounce the name of the street or hotel.
That is a situation I know very well. Sometimes you can see the name of a street on your phone, but you have no idea how to pronounce it.
In that case, there is no reason to guess or become embarrassed. You can simply say, I have the address on my phone.
Or perhaps, let me show you the address.
Yes. You can also say, I'm not sure how to pronounce the street name, but I have it here.
That is a very honest and natural sentence. You are not pretending that you know the pronunciation, and you are still communicating successfully.
The goal of communication is not to prove that your English is perfect. The goal is to help the other person understand what you need.
Let's create a realistic conversation.
Where would you like to go?
I'd like to go to the Riverside Hotel, please. I'm not sure how to pronounce the street name, but I have the address on my phone.
No problem. Could you show me?
Of course. It's this address here.
Great. I know where it is.
The driver might also ask for more information, especially if there are two hotels with similar names.
You can describe the location using phrases such as next to, opposite, and near.
For example, it's next to the train station.
It's opposite the museum.
It's near the city center.
There is an important difference between these expressions. Next to means directly beside something. Opposite means on the other side of the street, and near simply means close.
If I am looking at the map, but I am not completely sure, I can say, according to the map, it's opposite the station.
That is a useful phrase because, according to the map, shows that the information is coming from your navigation application.
You could also say, according to the app, the entrance is on King Street.
Let's practice 3 useful sentences. I have the address on my phone. Let me show you the address. According to the map, it's next to the station.
Once the journey begins, many people want to know how long it will take, especially when they are traveling to an airport or a train station.
The simplest question is, how long will it take?
We can also make it more specific. How long will it take to get to the airport?
The driver might answer, it should take about 20 minutes, or it depends on the traffic.
What does it should take mean here?
It means that 20 minutes is the expected journey time, but the driver cannot promise it completely. Traffic, roadworks, or an accident could change the situation.
We can also ask, do you think we'll get there by 5?
Yes, and if you are worried about missing a flight or train, You can ask, "Do you think I'll get there in time?"
Let's explain in time because learners often confuse it with on time.
On time means at the planned or expected time. For example, the train arrived on time. In time means early enough to do something. For example, I arrived in time to catch the train.
During a taxi journey, I might say, my flight leaves at 7. Do you think I'll get there in time?
The driver might answer, "You should be fine," which means the driver believes that you will probably arrive early enough.
Or the driver might say, traffic is quite heavy, but I'll take the quickest route.
Heavy traffic means there are many vehicles on the road and everything is moving slowly.
Let's hear a complete example. How long will it take to get to the airport?
It should take about 30 minutes, but traffic is quite heavy today.
My flight leaves at 6. Do you think I'll get there in time?
You should be fine. I'll take the quickest route.
That is exactly the kind of short exchange that can make the passenger feel much calmer. Another common concern is the price. Some people feel uncomfortable asking how much the journey will cost because they worry that it might sound impolite.
It is completely acceptable to ask. You can say, "How much will it cost approximately?"
The word approximately is useful because the driver may not know the exact final price before the journey ends.
You can also ask, "Do you know approximately how much the fare will be?"
The fare is the amount of money you pay for a taxi, bus, train, or another form of transport.
Another useful question is it a fixed price?
A fixed price does not change because of traffic or travel time.
If the price is calculated during the journey, the driver may use a meter. You can ask, "Do you use a meter?" Or, "Is the fare calculated by the meter?"
The driver may say it should be around 30 euros, or it's a fixed price of 25 euros.
At airports, there may also be additional charges. The driver could say, "There is an extra airport fee," or "There is an additional charge for large luggage."
If you do not understand an extra charge, you can ask, what is the additional fee for?
That is polite and direct. You are not accusing anyone of doing something wrong. You are simply asking for an explanation.
Let's practice. How much will it cost approximately? Is it a fixed price? Do you use a meter? What is the additional fee for? Most passengers do not need to tell the driver which route to take. However, the driver may ask, do you have a preferred route?
If you do not know the area, you can say, "Whichever way is fastest is fine."
That is one of the most useful phrases in this episode.
You could also say, "I'm not familiar with the area, so whichever way you recommend is fine."
I'm not familiar with the area means that you do not know the roads or neighborhood very well.
Another natural response is, "I'll leave it up to you."
That means the driver can make the decision.
However, sometimes your map shows a different route, and you begin to worry that the driver is going in the wrong direction.
This can be an uncomfortable moment because you do not want to sound rude or accuse the driver too quickly.
A calm question is better than an angry statement. You can say, "I'm sorry, but is this the right way to the airport?"
Or, the map is showing a different route.
You can also ask, "Are we avoiding traffic?"
The driver may explain, the main road is closed. There is an accident on the usual route. Or, this route is longer, but it should be faster.
That is why it is usually better to ask for an explanation before deciding that something is wrong.
If you specifically want the driver to follow your map, you can say, could we follow the route suggested by the app?
You may also want to avoid certain roads. For example, could we avoid toll roads?
Toll roads are roads that drivers must pay to use.
Another common request is to stop somewhere during the journey. You can say, "Could we stop at a cash machine on the way?"
On the way means during the journey to the final destination.
You could also say, "Could we pick up my friend on the way?" Or, "Could we stop at a petrol station?"
Default text, let's hear a realistic conversation.
Do you have a preferred route?
I'm not familiar with the area, so whichever way is fastest is fine.
I'll take the motorway because the city center is very busy.
That's fine. Could we stop at a cash machine on the way?
Of course. There is one near the petrol station.
During the journey, you may need to ask the driver to change the temperature, close a window, or turn the music down.
The phrase, "Could you," is perfect for these requests.
Could you turn on the air conditioning, please?
Could you close the window, please?
Could you turn the music down a little?
You can also use would you mind, which sounds polite. For example, would you mind opening the window?
There is a useful grammar point here. After would you mind, we normally use a verb ending in ing.
We say, would you mind opening the window? We do not say, would you mind to open the window?
If the driver is going too fast and you feel uncomfortable, you should say something clearly.
You can say, I'm sorry, but could you drive a little more slowly?
Or, could you slow down a little, please?
Some learners worry that this request might offend the driver, but your safety and comfort are more important than avoiding a slightly uncomfortable conversation.
If you feel unwell, you can explain, I'm feeling a little car sick.
You could then ask, would you mind opening the window? Or, could we stop for a moment?
Let's practice. Could you turn on the air conditioning, please? Would you mind opening the window? Could you drive a little more slowly? I'm feeling a little car sick. Sometimes the driver may know the street, but not the exact entrance, so you need to give a few simple directions.
You do not need complicated grammar. Clear instructions are more useful.
You can say, go straight ahead, turn left at the traffic lights, or take the second street on the right.
When you're giving information quickly, shorter phrases are natural. For example, left here, please, or the next street on the right.
This does not sound rude because the driver needs the information at the correct moment.
Other useful phrases include, it's the first building on the left. It's just after the supermarket. It's at the end of the street. The entrance is around the corner.
What happens when you make a mistake?
You can correct yourself naturally. Say, sorry, not this street. The next one, or, I'm sorry, I meant the second turning.
We are using a short sentence there, but it is short because the situation requires fast, clear information. It is not an artificial dramatic style.
Exactly. Natural conversation includes both longer and shorter sentences. The important thing is that the rhythm feels realistic rather than intentionally broken.
You may also realize that you have already passed the destination.
In that case, say, I think we've passed it, or the entrance was back there.
You can then ask, could you turn around when it is safe?
Turn around means to change direction and go back the way you came.
Talking about directions reminds me of a taxi journey in which the problem began before I had even found the car.
That sounds like a special talent. Most people wait until they are inside the taxi before creating a problem.
I like to be efficient. A few years ago, I arrived at a very busy airport and booked a taxi through an app. There were several pickup areas outside the terminal, so the driver sent me a message asking where I was waiting.
That seems reasonable. What did you tell him?
I wanted to write, I'm waiting by the green gate with a large black suitcase.
That sounds clear. You described the place and also gave the driver something that could help him recognize you.
That was the plan. Unfortunately, my phone changed one important word, and I did not read the message before sending it.
What did you actually send?
I wrote, I'm waiting by the green goat with a large black suitcase.
The green goat?
Yes, apparently I was standing outside the airport with a colorful farm animal.
I imagine the driver had some questions.
A minute later, he replied, I can see the green gate, but I can't see a goat.
That was already a very strong clue that something had gone wrong.
It should have been, but I was tired and did not understand what he meant. I thought he was making a strange joke, so I answered, I don't have a goat. I have a black suitcase.
That probably made the situation even more confusing.
It definitely did. He then asked, Is the goat traveling with you?
To be fair, you had clearly told him that you were waiting beside one.
At that point, I finally read my original message again and noticed the mistake. I quickly wrote, I'm so sorry. I meant the green gate, not a green goat.
Did he find you after that?
Yes. A few minutes later, a car stopped in front of me, and the driver opened the window and asked, Are you Emma?
And you answered, Yes, that's me.
Exactly. I was very relieved because, for the first time during that conversation, I knew exactly what to say.
What happened when you got into the taxi?
The driver got out to help me with my suitcase, opened the boot, and looked around very seriously. Then he asked, And where should I put the goat?
That is an excellent driver.
I started laughing and apologized again, but he continued making jokes about it during the entire journey. When we arrived at the hotel, he said, "Please check that you haven't left your phone, your suitcase, or your goat in the car."
I hope you gave him a good review.
I did. I also learned that checking one short message can save you from explaining an imaginary animal to a taxi driver.
There is also a small pronunciation lesson hidden inside this story. The words gate and goat look similar, but they have different vowel sounds.
Listen carefully. Gate, goat.
Now let's hear them in a sentence. I'm waiting by the green gate.
Not, I'm waiting by the green goat.
Unless there really is a goat at the airport, in which case your taxi journey may require a much more complicated conversation.
You may also need to ask whether the goat can sit in the back or whether it has to travel in the boot.
I do not think we are going to teach that conversation today.
Probably not, but this story does remind us of something important. In real situations, communication does not always go perfectly. You may make a mistake, your phone may change a word, or the driver may misunderstand you.
The important thing is to stay calm, correct the information, and continue the conversation. Emma did not need perfect English to solve the problem. She simply explained, "I meant the green gate, not a green goat."
Although checking the message before sending it would have been easier.
Much easier, but less entertaining for our listeners.
Before we finish, let's return to the most useful phrases from today's taxi journey.
We introduced several options, but you do not need to remember all of them immediately. Focus on the phrases that can help you manage the most important moments.
When you have booked a ride through an app and want to check whether you have found the correct driver, you can ask, "Are you here for Emma?"
When the driver confirms your name, you can answer, "Yes, that's me."
When the driver asks where you want to go, you can say, "Could you take me to this address, please?"
Another natural option is, "I'd like to go to the airport, please."
If you cannot pronounce the street name, you can say, "I'm not sure how to pronounce the street name, but I have the address on my phone."
When you want to know the expected journey time, ask, "How long will it take to get there?"
If you are worried about missing a flight or train, you can ask, "Do you think I'll get there in time?"
When you want to ask about the price, say, "How much will it cost approximately?"
You can also ask, "Is it a fixed price?"
If the driver asks which route you prefer and you do not know the area, say, "I'm not familiar with the area, so whichever way is fastest is fine."
If you want to change something inside the car, you can make a polite request. "Would you mind opening the window?"
Or, "Could you turn the air conditioning down a little?"
When you need to help the driver find the correct entrance, you can say, "Turn left at the traffic lights." If you make a mistake, simply correct yourself. "I'm sorry, I meant the next street." Finally, if you realize that the taxi has gone past your destination, say, "I think we've passed it."
Now it is time for you to speak. We will describe a situation, and you will have a moment to answer aloud.
Try to use one of the phrases from today's episode instead of translating a completely new sentence in your head. You booked a taxi through an app. A car arrives, but you want to check whether it is your taxi. What do you ask?
You could ask, "Hi, are you here for Emma?"
The driver confirms your name. What do you say?
You can answer, "Yes, that's me."
The driver asks where you want to go, and you have the destination on your phone. What do you say?
You could say, "Could you take me to this address, please?"
You cannot pronounce the street name. How can you explain the situation?
You could say, "I'm not sure how to pronounce the street name, but I have it on my phone."
You are traveling to the airport and want to know how long the journey will take. What do you ask?
You could ask, "How long will it take to get to the airport?"
The driver asks whether you have a preferred route, but you have never visited the city before. What can you say?
You could say, "I'm not familiar with the area, so whichever way is fastest is fine."
You notice that the taxi has just passed the entrance to your hotel. What do you say?
You could say, "I think we've passed it. The entrance was back there."
If you found some of these answers difficult, return to this section and practice again. Hearing a phrase helps you recognize it, but saying it aloud helps you prepare for a real conversation. Now, we have a question for you. Have you ever sent an embarrassing message because autocorrect changed one of your words?
Perhaps you wanted to write one thing, but your phone created a completely different sentence.
Tell us about it in the comments in English. You can begin with, "Once I wanted to write, but my phone changed it to."
Your story does not need to be long or perfect. A few clear sentences are enough.
We are especially interested in any stories involving goats, although we hope this problem is not as common as it was for me.
Today, we learned how to find the correct taxi, explain where we want to go, show the driver an address, ask about the journey time and price, talk about the route, and give simple directions.
The most important thing to remember is that you do not need complicated English to manage a taxi journey. A few clear and polite phrases can help you handle the conversation one step at a time.
If you remember only one sentence from this episode, make it. Could you take me to this address, please?
In the next episode of English on the Move, we will continue the taxi journey and focus on what happens when you reach your destination.
We will learn how to ask the driver to stop, how to pay, how to request a receipt, and what to say when there is a problem at the end of the journey.
If this episode was useful, remember to like it, subscribe to the channel, and follow the series so you do not miss the second part.
Thank you for learning with us.
We'll see you in the next episode.